Hey everyone, and welcome back, or if you're new here, my name is Josh, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Bank of America Travel Rewards credit card. So I'm going to be going over the main features of this card, its pros as well as its drawbacks. So hopefully by the end of this video, you should have a much better idea of whether or not this card is a good fit for you. But before we go ahead and dive into the main features of this card, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive a few free stocks in a pinned comment below as well as in the description box, I will be leaving a few different links where you can receive just that. Okay, so diving right into the main features of the Bank of America Rewards Travel Credit Card. First off, you are going to be earning 1.5 points for every $1 spent. So all in all, while that's not great, it is pretty much average. Also, in addition to that, they are currently offering a spend bonus of 25,000 points, which is equivalent to $250 in travel or a dining statement credit, as long as you can make at least $1,000 in purchases within the first 90 days of having your card, which for most people is not going to be all that difficult to do. And as far as the points go, these points never expire, so you don't have to feel rushed to use them. You can hold on to them for as long as you like and then redeem them whenever you're ready. Now, as far as the different redemption methods go, you will have a few different options, so you can redeem for a statement credit for something travel related, or if it's dining related. Now, Bank of America, unlike a lot of other credit cards out in the market, actually have a lot broader meaning of travel. So in the travel category, if you happen to go to like an amusement park, that is considered a travel expense, which you can use for credit. Zoos are a travel expense as well, aquariums, and other things like that. So you will have more things to use this on rather than the typical travel of like airline fares or, rental cars, hotels, things like that. You can, again, use them on other things such as zoos, aquariums, art galleries, and other things like that. Now, while we're on the topic of points, you can actually earn even more points with this credit card if you happen to be a Bank of America Preferred Rewards member. So they do have a few different tiers, and on each tier that they have, you can actually earn even more cash back or points depending on which tier that you're on. So the first tier that they have actually is called the Gold tier, and with that tier, you can actually earn 25% more points with this card, which would be equivalent to 1.875 points per dollar spent. For this, you must have an average daily balance of $20,000 to $50,000 between your Bank of America checking, savings, or Merrill Edge investment accounts. Now, if you actually have between 50K and 100K, you can actually get a 50% more in points, or 2.25 points per dollar spent, which then puts you in the Platinum tier. And finally, if you eclipse a 3-month average balance of over $100,000, you're actually considered a Platinum Honors member, which then grants you a 75% point bonus, granting you 2.625 points per dollar spent. Now, in addition to that, they are also currently at the moment offering a special of a 0% intro APR on both purchases and balance transfers for the first 18 months. So perhaps if you have a lot of larger transactions coming up, but you don't have the money set aside to pay for them, but these are transactions that you absolutely have to make, you could consider using this card, and for the first 18 months, you can slowly pay it off because you will have a 0% intro APR. So as long as you make sure to make at least the minimum payment, you won't be hit with any fees, and then you will have 18 months to slowly pay off your transaction. And just like that with balance transfers, if you have another credit card right now where you're paying a very high interest rate on, you could perhaps consider transferring that balance from that card over to this card, and for the first 18 months, you will have a 0% intro APR. Now, this is something that I usually recommend people stay far away from if can, because I see a lot of people get into the trap where they say for the first 12 to 18 months they'll have a 0% intro APR, but what they end up doing is they end up racking up quite a huge balance, and then whenever the 18-month period ends, they have all that to pay off, and if they don't have that money set aside to pay it off, guess what? They're going to be hit with a lot of interest. Okay, so while we're on the topic of APR, we're going to be going a little bit deeper into the APR and fees of this card because obviously that is super important. So after the 18-month period of the 0% intro APR of the balance transfers and the purchases go, after that, it will be bumped up to anywhere between 17.99% and 27.99% based on your credit worthiness. And if you happen to take out a cash advance, which on this channel, again, we recommend to stay far, far away from, your cash advance APR will be anywhere between 20.99 to 29.99%. Also, on top of that, on top of your balance transfers and cash advances, there's also going to be a fee of 3% of the amount of each transaction. Again, that's going to be both for balance transfers as well as cash advances. Now, if you happen to pay late, that's going to be another fee of $40. Now, just like with any other credit card out there, if you do happen to pay late for maybe the first, maybe second time, you might consider calling into the bank and they might be able to waive it for the first time or perhaps even the second time, but I definitely wouldn't bank on that. So just make sure to pay on time, whether you have auto pay set up or whether you have some type of calendar, whatever your system is, just make sure that you pay on time. That way you can avoid the late fee of $40. Now, thankfully with this credit card, there is no foreign transaction fees, so it is definitely one that you can take with you. It's a travel card after all, so it would be a little bit silly if a travel card did have a foreign transaction fee. And also there is no annual fee with this credit card, so you can keep it every single year. And you don't have to sit around and wonder whether or not the benefits that you're receiving with this card make it worth paying an annual fee for, because with this card, again, you do not have to pay an annual fee. So now that we went over the main features of this card, as well as the APR and fees, I'm now gonna go ahead and dive into what I would consider to be the biggest pros and cons with this card. So we're gonna start out with the good thing. The first good thing is the fact that you are going to be earning 25,000 points as long as you're able to spend at least $1,000 within the first 3 months. For most people, again, that is not going to be too big of a challenge. That is pretty easily achievable. And again, at 25,000 points, it's going to be worth right around $250 in travel statement credits or dining. So that's pretty solid all in all. Also, in addition to that, while you're redeeming your points, the travel statement credits are very flexible because once again, it's not just going to be like airlines and hotels that you can redeem it for. You can also redeem it for stuff like amusement parks, zoos, aquariums. If you happen to go to an art gallery, those are all going to be redeemable in the travel category. And finally, with this card, you don't have an annual fee and you also do not have a foreign transaction fee. So obviously that is a pretty big pro as well. Now, as far as the drawbacks of this card go, first off, the fact that you're only going to be earning 1.5 points per dollar spent. While that's not terrible, it's more on the average end. It would be great if you could earn at least 2 points per dollar spent. Secondly, the fact that you can't really redeem these points for cash back at a good value. I mean, sure, you can redeem them for cash back, but you're only going to be getting like 60% of the value than if you were going to redeem it for like a travel statement credit. So like for example, for $25 in statement credits for travel, for cash back, you're only going to be getting $15, so you're only getting 60% of the value there. And finally, in order to get approved for this credit card, you must have a credit score in the good to excellent range. So it must be at least probably 670 or possibly even higher to be approved for this card. Now, even if you do have a good credit score, of course, they do factor in other things as well. So you could have an excellent credit score, but still get declined, maybe if you open up too many credit cards in the recent past. But all in all, just to sum things up here, I would say this is a pretty good credit card to have. The fact that you're going to be earning around $250 in travel or dining statement credits just for spending $1,000 within the first 90 days of having this card, that's excellent. You're also going to be earning 1.5 points per dollar spent, which is pretty average all in all. So I would definitely recommend having this card. So if you are checking it out, make sure to go to the website, read over the fine print, and make sure that it's a good fit for your personal lifestyle. But that's all I have for today's review. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found it helpful. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.